meeting is now called to order. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Trustee Karen Lewis is present. Trustee Janelle McFadden. Present. Trustee Donna Fulcher. Present. Trustee Jewel Thompson. Present. Trustee Gina Williams. Here. Trustee Theo Brooks. Present. Mayor Rivera.
Present. Let's please stand for our pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Public comment, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Sonia Jenkins Bell. Somebody keep your time, please. One second, Trustee.
Good evening, Board, Mayor, residents of University Park. Good evening, Board, Mayor, residents of University Park. It saddens me to announce the passing of one of our longstanding residents of the village, Mr. Reginald Hill. I am so sorry to announce that, and I want you guys to please keep the family in prayer, and also please keep his grandchildren, Reginae and Jamaica Hill in prayer. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening.
I just want to ask a question. So, where?
Saturday. Saturday. So,
How's the business? Bad.
I kept a private conversation, sidebar.
You know it's going to be Trustee to me. Trustee, I had stopped by the house. They're collecting mail. I left a card for me and Karen before he passed. I knew he was sick. But before then, someone needed to check to the mailbox.
It's a lot going. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure that they had
So
everything well in prayer.
please keep his family in prayer. This is a sudden thing, and the children are really, they're at a loss. They are really lost right now. So please, and keep their family in prayer. And the arrangements to be announced, I'll inform the village manager and the mayor of the arrangements.
Right.
Okay, thank you. You have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Good evening, board residents. I am so excited to be a part of the Planning Commission, and I want to thank the village manager for facilitating getting information for me with Ms. Van Arsdale. I do still need some meeting minutes from previous meetings, just so I can get up to speed as to what things were talked about, what was new, what are, just getting up to speed. So if anyone has meeting minutes, I did suggest a FOIA. I did put in one on September 1st. So if anyone has meeting minutes about the last Plan Commission meeting, I would like to get that, just so I can get up to speed. Okay? All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. A lot of good things you're going to be seeing coming.
Okay.
All right. Mildred Morgan. I'm sorry.
I was going to just say,
I'm sorry.
Ms. Saunders, you may want to check with Anita
Yeah.
Martin, because she keeps very good minutes, and I think she would be the right person to go.
Okay. I did reach out to her. I'm not sure.
And maybe even Sharice Williams.
Okay.
And I have them from years ago, so.
Okay.
But yes, those two people I think would definitely be a plus.
Yeah, you're right. No, I don't think so. Mrs. Morgan?
Good evening, everybody. Ms. Scott, can you please tell me, the assistant, for yourself that you hire, is that a full-time position or a part-time?
Full-time.
And, well, I thought it was, trustees, if you can help me on this, from one other meeting that was discussed, it was a part-time position. Also, you just hired someone else. Is that a full-time position or part-time?
Part-time.
And what is that position?
It is the liaison, the executive assistant liaison.
Okay, these positions that you're bringing here, staff that don't live in University Park, are you posting them?
That position, from my understanding, does not need to be posted, but I'll defer to our council.
What position are you? So, what I do plan on doing is a memo for the next board meeting because as
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
what I do plan on doing for the next board meeting is drafting a memo because as with village management form of government, there are certain responsibilities and that she as the village manager has and that they don't necessarily, because she does need to run the day-to-day operations, she doesn't necessarily have to, with certain things, come before the board and get the approval necessarily before making those particular appointments or those hires. So I'm not sure if, she can come to the board and she'll usually, the village managers will update, but she doesn't necessarily have to come before the board to get the approval for the board. If she, as a village manager, she runs the day-to-day operations, so there are just certain functions that she has that don't always require her to come before the board and get approval.
Can you please write, what I was going to say was, that's not a new position. That's not a new thing that has been done. There's an ordinance, isn't it, about posting? No, I'm speaking of posting just in general. There's an ordinance that states that job positions should be posted, given the job description, also the salary. Because here's what I'm experiencing since Ms. Scott's been here. There's no job descriptions, even with her own. We never got anything. I don't know what she made. That's unusual. And also with the two positions that have came on, we don't know what these positions are, what the job descriptions are, what the salary is. We don't know any of that. That's unusual in the village.
That's much information. We'll make sure that you get everything that you need.
Yeah, but it should be on the website.
Are you going to do that? Are you going to write it out?
Right, specifically, are you asking for the
Job description, salary?
And it should be on the website. The information should.
It should be, but it's not.
Well, I can get into that with the village manager for you. I can talk about that with the village manager because that's something that should be on the website.
No problem. Thank you. So Ken Sarma, well, hold on.
I have a comment in regards to this morning's statement. First off,
This is comment, other comment. I asked a question, and it's so kind for the trustee to answer.
I'm responding to your question and Mrs. Manager Scott's response. Manager Scott, your assistant, previously when we talked about it, you came on and supposed to be a part-time position. So when did it switch up? Yes, it has. It was a part-time position because I was the previous person in the school. So it was part-time and then asked at a board meeting, you stated that it was part-time.
Because I always stated that you cannot have a part-time assistant. I have one third assistant, and that's not possible. So I did state that I was bringing on a full-time assistant. I'd also like to say that positions such as the one that I hired Ms. Harris for, that is a position of confidentiality, and I was advised that I did not is not a union position. That person is subject to a lot of information that is confidential, and I did not have to post for that position.
Okay, I wouldn't ask that question. I just wanted to bring this point back as for, when it was stated at the board meeting, I asked the question, was the position part-time or full-time? You stated it was part-time, and I will go back to those records to bring that up. You stated it was part-time because that's what it was previously before the last person left. You stated that you would like a full-time, you need a full-time, but it wasn't. So I don't understand where that change came from, and we can talk about that. The second thing, when you guys stated for the executive assistant, the executive liaison position, I made a statement that said something to you all, is as for yes, as the village manager, you can bring in people, but if these are the people that are supporting the board, which is the assistant that was supporting the mayor and the trustees, as trustees, we should be getting information as the board that this person would not, the previous person would not be there, so we can also have input. Just like you have input who you want as an assistant, we as a board should have input as well who would want an assistant for us. And where did that actual request come from? Because I'm not aware of it. So as for hiring people, yes, people can hire them, no problem, but these should be posted as well. Maybe that one might not have to be posted. I'm not saying it has to come to the board for actual vote, but trustees and board members do need to have an opportunity to say who they want to be supporting them. That's my say.
Thank you. Trustee. Yes, yes, sir.
So Ms. Scott, what's her name? I don't even know.
No one knows.
She sent an email to the board.
Okay, but where'd she come from? Just a person you knew or you know? I'm asking Ms. Scott.
No.
So
That is the mayor's appointment. The mayor has to work with that individual, that's the executive liaison. However, I want to say this, the previous person there, the board did not approve that person. They didn't have anything to do with the hiring process. So this is also past practice.
And I want to make a statement, just because past practice have happened doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. So I am here on the board now, and this is a process that should be done. As for the person who said that this is an appointed position, it is not an appointed position. That's what you stated, it was an appointed position by the mayor. Okay, so it's not an appointed position. The mayor does have to work with the law, so the trustees have to work with the individuals. So us as a board, as a union, should be able to voice our opinion.
You're absolutely right. You can voice your opinion.
And that liaison works with the,
As a board, not as a personal pick by a particular person.
Thank you very much, guys. Mr. Sermon, we're gonna let this last resident go, Ms. Alexander, and then you guys will be named. Sure. Mr. Good will go on with the rest of the agenda. Everyone's very anxious to listen. Mrs. Alexander, good evening.
Good evening, Board
And
Mayor.
I'm sorry we don't have the mics up there, so we have to do
I'll
outside
try
voice
to-
temporarily.
Vocalize louder. First, before I get to my point, is Mildred Morgan the only person that's concerned about the hiring and what's going on? I said, is Miss Morgan the only resident here in University Park concerned about all the hiring that we're having that's going on? That's the first thing University Park does. When we get new members, new trustees, we start hiring. We forget about the things that we should be concerned about, our roads, the beautification of our village. It's ridiculous. Mildred and I don't agree on everything, but this is one time, and she's usually put to the point. She looks and she researches everything she brings to the board. And we want to give her a hand because she does take care of business. That's all I have to say to that. But my main reason for coming here is regarding the penny job. Okay. And I have not forgotten, but it was kaput. You heard me, kaput. I tried, but I realized that I couldn't do this by myself. It takes more than one person, especially a senior citizen. I don't drive and to get around. So what I have come to the conclusion, the few pennies that we have collected, maybe, I don't think it's 100, but if it doesn't reach $100, perhaps I will, and I probably will, make it 100. And whatever we decide to do with that $100, I would like for you to take it and give it to a child in the community, or no, the baseball or whatever activities that goes on here. Give it to the child that needs that for whatever. I will ask the chief if we can coordinate a time and with my son, I'll coordinate a time with you and my son. I will pick up those pennies that's there, and I will take them and have them counted. And I would like for the board to make a decision. And it's probably only $50, but $50 is $50. I thank you for your time. I'm sorry I digressed from what I was officially going to say, but she's right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Dodds.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. So that ends our public section. We're going to start off with Ken Sermon, 201 East School Board.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, Mayor Rudez, residents, friends of University Park. My name is Ken Serma. I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Business and Operations at the Crete School District. Joining me this evening, sitting next to me, is our legal counsel from the school district. Not for any particular reason, please, just in case I say something stupid, he's there. And unfortunately, our superintendent, Dr. Kara, and other board members are unable to be here because they have a meeting right now going on too. So I'll let you know that. The purpose of my public comment this evening is to share with you the district's support and collaboration with the Village Board of Trustees and Administration in dissolving the Tax Increment Financing District 5, TIF 5, within the current calendar year in order for the district, village, and other taxing bodies to receive much needed revenue from the equalized assessed value that is generated through property taxes into our operating budgets. As I'm sure you know, over the past 2 years, the district has embarked on an $80 million short-term facility improvement plan that has brought many improvements to our schools, including the elimination of old galvanized water pipes, installation of new water pipes, new electronic signs at each school, removal of asbestos at all of our buildings, the installation of new building-wide HVAC systems so that all buildings are now air-conditioned. Next summer will be the final year of that plan, as we will have some cosmetic improvements, including painting and new flooring in areas that have not been already replaced. Through all of this, we have identified that our next major project is to construct a new multi-purpose stadium that would have a synthetic field lined for football and soccer along with a regulation track. The design would allow the district to hold football, track and field, and soccer practices and contests, and would give us the opportunity to run sports camps and activities for our youth in all of our communities. In addition, we are including improvements to our baseball and softball fields with the hope of having those with synthetic turf to provide additional spaces to hold camps and activities for our communities. However, none of this is possible without the dissolving of TIF 5, which would generate revenue for the district and would allow us to sell alternate revenue bonds to pay for the construction. The district has that capacity, however, needs the revenue from the dissolving of TIF 5 to secure those bonds. We hope to collaborate with the village to dissolve TIF 5 prior to the end of this calendar year, so the EAV may be added to our tax extension for the district and all the taxing bodies, including the village. If this occurs, it will allow the district to secure the funding for the project in the spring of '24 with the new stadium ready for the '25 football season. I thank you for your time and consideration and wish you nothing but the best.
Okay, we're going to open up, stay there, Ken, we're going to open up the floor for questions.
Sure.
Because you want to go first or you want to go first?
No, I was just going to give just my comment. For those who do know, I'm a Richie's Rocket coach. 227 rather. But maybe one day I'll coach with Connect. Here we go. Now I can really say it. Hopefully one day I'll coach with Connect. But I would say, as far as the stadium, I definitely, considering that, you know, we all in the same South Conference.
Sure.
I do want to say, for the sake, I want the trustees to know that when they speak at the stadium and when we start speaking of residents and knowing what's best for our kids, I want the residents to know that this is just my opinion. When I come there to scout what we're coaching at Creek-Monee, they have so much limited space there for the coaching staff itself. If I'm not mistaken, it's even cold up there in the booth.
It is.
So, yeah, and so as you can see over it's old. So I would say at least as long as I'm here to 2025, if I can have anything to do with it, you know, that's one thing that I would like to see your school district do. Is that stadium is definitely a problem, especially when it's okay right now with the weather, but I mean, like, when it gets November for you guys in the playoffs, it's horrible upstairs. And I do feel for any team in your coaching staff as well to be up there. And that was like the first thing, really, if you pass now since you tore down the school, if you just look and everyone look, it's like an old wooden box up there. So I would like to see something, and the program is doing well. I think, you know, that is definitely something that, a facility that our kids in our district do deserve.
I appreciate that. One of the things also to let you know about the stadium is we're not able to run track and field events there because the track is not a regulation track for the IHSA. So we don't have any home track meets at all. And so that's a disadvantage to our kids. And so that's one of the things we have found, you know, we do have a true home field advantage, unfortunately. But we have found that, you know, the bleachers are old, they're starting to get in disrepair. So we realize that it's time. It really is.
Yeah, and this is me saying that, considering that I've scouted when I was low man on the totem pole as coaches, they sent us way out. Thank God for Huddle, because now coaches can exchange tapes. But when I'm traveling to like Morris and all these other facilities on a Friday night, I'll give one prime example. This is maybe about 2-3 years ago when Creek-Monee went to play Morris. Unfortunately, I had to get the film. And you're sitting there, and it's almost like with the Bears Stadium out in Morris. And you say to yourself, the Warriors are sitting at home playing at an old stadium.
Winning state championships.
Yeah, winning state championships. So I'm emphasizing as, not only as a resident, not only as a board member, maybe one day a coach, for you know, this district, but I'm just saying, I've experienced it, and I think this is something that is in the forefront of my mind before I leave this seat.
Thank you.
Yes.
So let me piggyback. So let's tell everybody what this means in dollars and cents to the community. That's what's important. Because will this be a facility for all communities to be able to utilize?
Yeah, so one of the things we look at is we want to, we're kind of the center of all of our communities. And so it's one of the reasons why we want to have synthetic turf, because it does allow us then to run camps in that. If you remember a couple years ago, Jaquan and Lenore came and ran a camp. Well, this year they're not, they're gone somewhere else, basically because of our facility. And because, when you have a grass field, you can't, you don't know how it's going to be. So our goal then is to begin having camps in all of our sports so that we can bring the kids in and then start developing the youth through our programs. We've already added some programs at the middle school. We've added baseball to the middle school. We're adding some other sports programs so we can start cultivating all the kids in all of our communities then. And so that's one of the reasons about using synthetic turf, because we can run those camps all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's talk about dollars and cents.
Sure.
What it means when we talk about closing the tip and the benefits for everybody that's a part of the tax.
Sure. So I'll give you some rough estimates. So right now, TIF 5, the EAV, the incremental EAV is a little over $80 million. Okay? So so that's the EAV. That's not the dollars we get, that's the EAV.
Right.
However, the school district has a tax rate right now of almost 6%. So what that means is we would gain around $4.6 to $4.8 million a year in operating revenue that would come in. What we would do, so again, that's not even what the village would get. The village is also a taxing body, and they would also gain revenue along with other taxing bodies in the TIF. What we would do then, just to kind of let you know, is we would be able to sell alternate revenue bonds, they're called. And so what that means is that we would take some of those proceeds, we're earmarking about $2 million a year, and really make a principal and interest payment on a loan that we would get in order to have the construction. So we would take $2 million of that. The other $2 million we would put into our operating budgets to maintain our facilities, operating expenses, all of those things. All right. So the dollars are real dollars and are significant dollars to the school district.
And we would average as a municipality about $3 million on the annual basis. And think about that will fill a lot of our budget gaps, and then we can actually address some of the things that we need addressing in the community: new streets, roads, Hickok Pool, Rico Farm, a variety of things. So, any other questions from the board members?
Can you repeat what you just said?
I said, with the influx, if this opportunity, if the board is able to come together and work to take advantage of this opportunity, that means the village will have an additional $3 million annually budget a year. And that way we will be able to address some of the things that we want to address. Say, for instance, Regal Farm, Blackhawk, Herman Drive, some of the things that we need additional money to return the service back to the constituents. So it would be a win-win.
I think one of the things that happens in both school districts and villages is because we are underfunded and because of the way funding happens, and I'll speak for school districts and the mayor can talk about the village. The state has said to us, we are underfunded, that our target, we only get 70% of what we should get in funding. And that's a formula that the state does. And so we're underfunded. And so the first thing that happens when you are underfunded is you cut back on capital improvements. You cut back on fixing your buildings because you don't want to, from school district, we don't want to let teachers go. We don't want to cut those resources in the classroom, so you back off on that. What then happens is you fall into a cycle where things are not being maintained, things are not being repaired. We have 9 buildings, and imagine not repairing your home, or maintaining your home, and that's what happens with us. So the influx of money then, as the mayor says on the village side and also in the school district, helps us maintain those buildings. Keeps we put in new air conditioning, but I have to do on an annual basis, I have to do a maintenance plan for those rooftop units that I put in now. So I need money to do that. And if we're underfunded, I don't have the money, but this influx of money will help us. Okay? That helps.
One second, Trustee Brooks and Trustee Bolger, and I'll go to you, Mrs. Morgan.
Yeah, I wanted to also, Karen always says I repeat my wife. So I'm just going to repeat this one more time. Let's remember this was when we first entered the little financial crisis. I think we had a 3-year plan, and the tip that was mentioned. This is what I kept saying, that if we keep our spending correctly, that by 2023, between 2023 and 2025, on the village side, that our finances, we would start seeing the money that we need to see, and we would not be where we were in 2016. So that's just to kind of piggyback what actually both you gentlemen were saying, and then what I was preaching pretty much since I've sat in the seat. So that is a fact, and if we still continue that vision of making sure that we don't overspend, that actually the school district and the village, we will be in a good place, you know, coming within these next couple of years. So that was the one point that I've always kept preaching.
Madam Scott, when is the TIF fund expiring?
It's supposed to expire in 2 years.
In 2 years, so you, Mr. Sparrow, you're asking for us to close it early.
Well, here's what the TIF is, and I can rely on John for that because he's done the research. The TIF will actually expire in '23. However, the village has 12 months after that to file and pass the ordinance to get that on the tax rolls. Okay? And so what happens then is, if you waited until then, if you waited until next year, you wouldn't get the benefits until 2026. But if you do that now, by, I'm just going to say November 1, then what will happen is you will get the tax benefit next calendar year. It'll go on the tax rolls, so you will get that money next year then. The other thing also to keep in mind is that number that I said, at least for the school district, of 4.5, 4.6 million, will only escalate over time if EAV continues to go up. The other thing it does, and I hate to take up a lot of time, but the other thing it does is there's a benefit to the taxpayer on this. Because what will happen is, because the school district has kept their annual debt payment the same, it will lower the tax rate on the bond and interest portion of their tax bill and that. So it's a benefit also to the taxpayer. If that helps.
So the school district's calendar year is from, when is your?
July to June. We're on a fiscal year, July to June.
But the levy is on a calendar year, just like it is for all taxing bodies.
Right.
So if you end the TIF 2 years early, that's 2 years of the money going into the operating funds of the village and the school district rather than going into the TIF fund, and can be used for anything that the parties want to use it for. Mr. Morgan?
Did you say that TIF 5 was 80 million?
The EAV, the equalized assessed value, is $80 million right now. Yes.
That's like the value of the property as far as the assessment goes. So that is the baseline for then the village and the school district, and other taxing bodies, whatever their tax rate is, gets applied toward that 80 million. So that's why it would be $3 million a year to the village, $4 million a year to the school district.
So, I'm not on the spot with TIF.
Sure. No, that's okay.
But you want to retire that?
Yes,
You want
ma'am.
to retire?
Retire it early.
Retire it early.
Retire it early.
It's due to expire.
There's no, so you want to close TIF 5 so that TIF 5 no longer exists?
No longer exists.
Because the last I checked, I think this was a couple of years ago, no, before this mayor, it was 40 million.
Right.
40 million.
It's at 80 million right now.
With it being 40 million, and I'm sure things ain't got too much better, things have escalated. So the assessed value is 80 million,
Yes, ma'am.
and you guys can just shut that down, close it down, say, poof, be gone.
Well, I can't. The village can.
We're asking the village if they will do that.
That's the value, that's not the single.
So, Ms. Morgan, what happens now is, because it's a TIF, the money that's collected in taxes go into a TIF fund that the village secures. They have a TIF fund, and then that money has to go into the TIF. Okay? It cannot go like into the village at all. So what we're asking it to do, yeah, it's like playing chess. It is.
Tax advice.
Yes. And so what happens is that what will now happen is what's that incremental EAV that I said was $80 million that becomes onto our tax rolls now. So now we would able to get that money because we're one of the taxing bodies in that tip. The village is one, I think,
Library board, force,
right.
That's what I was saying, other taxing bodies.
Right.
all tax
I gotta
bodies
listen.
get their share. Every single taxing body will get their increment.
Trustees, y'all understand and agree with this?
But we're hearing it just like you.
Okay, all right.
I would point out the
It actually, look, this is what we were trying to avoid even with tip 7. With Amazon and the rest of those over there, we were trying to get a shorter years, Miss Millie, remember? We wanted shorter years because the school and the village and the residents, we can't continue to wait 20 years for this, for these huge tax breaks. So in this one, right?
No more tips.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, and that's actually what they're saying. This is actually what they're saying, and I agree with you because 7 is supposed to be more commercial, and there's hope for still commercial over there, as we will soon find out. But it's just that we were trying to cut down all the tips, and 5 is our biggest, huge, it is our biggest with the money, and so this would be along that plan of us receiving funds, us as a village, what we have been doing. We have not been fiscally responsible with our money back in 2016, so we have been, the preaching was there. Please, before we get to that point, you'll be able to pay your rolls and have police on the street and so forth, and will not be worried about tar loans and so forth that we were doing in the past. That would be over with. So that's the benefit of it.
But do we all have an understanding that the tip 5 was borrowed off of?
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was used.
Oh, you mean money borrowed from
Money was taken
the
off, that's how it got to be, 40 million. Money was taken off of tip 5. Okay.
Yeah, we'll talk more about it, but the tar, I think she's talking about the tar loans that was borrowed, money that was borrowed. I think I know what she's talking about.
There has been no activity with TIF.
I
Right.
talked about tips all since 2012. All
Right.
this until through.
TIFs are actually good mechanisms to get business done if they're held responsibly. Our history has been that we have always given up 90% of the increment to the development, but now we're not doing that anymore. So we're starting to be more responsible with our TIFs, and we're actually getting some things done. So, and we did agree not to have the 23-year TIFs. I think Amazon is a 17-year TIF, if I'm not mistaken.
No, it's not.
Yes, okay. But so,
I just want to make 2 points here. First of all, obviously TIF 5 has done what it was supposed to do. It was supposed to enhance development. You've got $80 million of more equalized assessed value than you did when it started. It's accomplished what's your goal. But our point here is that it ending it early is within your discretion, and by doing that, you can enhance the revenues of both the village and the school district, because you don't need to extend the final 2 years of the TIF to enhance any more development in TIF 5.
anybody else on the board have any other questions? No? Anybody from the general public?
I think she had something to say first.
I was gonna say, now the location of the stadium, is this the old stadium or where they tore the dump down?
It's actually going to be right next to it on the there's a practice field there. So our goal is to put the new stadium there. We would tear down the old stadium, leave that as just an open grass practice area, but it'll be right in the same location. The new baseball and softball fields, we have our baseball field now over next to Heritage Park. So we would redo that field as a baseball field. There's another field next to it that we would make the softball field, turf both of those also. So it'd be in basically the same locations as it is now. We're not moving it anywhere else.
Ms. Jones?
Are we the only village that's in the school district that y'all coming to about closing tips?
No, we've had discussions actually with Crete and Monique on TIFs. Yes. So, our board has, along with myself, and Mr. Rizzo. Yes.
And they agreeing on the same thing?
Pardon me?
Are they agreeing on the same thing? Are they using any of their tips?
Each TIF is different. So when we go into negotiations, we like to take a stance and make a win-win for all of us. And so that is what we do. And that our stance is really, we don't like extending TIFs. There's a way you can extend a TIF. And we would not want to do that, but we want to make a win for us and a win for community. The same way we think this, by rolling this off as a win for the community and us, if we go to Crete or if we go to Moline, we would do the same thing and work with those villages and administrations and boards to have a win-win situation. Yes.
Is that taking place?
Pardon me?
Is that taking
Yes,
place?
ma'am. Yep. In fact, I had a meeting last week. We had a meeting last week with Crete, as a matter of fact. Yes.
So they have some tips that's closing as well very soon.
They have one that's actually closing there. They have one TIF that closes actually in 26, and then another one that, two others that close in 28. Monique, from my understanding, has one that's closing this year, along with, in line with UP's TIF 5 that we've had discussion about also. And I think they have one or two others, but I'm not sure what years those are up. And then, yes.
Okay. Thanks again.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Board. Appreciate your time.
All right.
Thank you.
Mr. Good?
My name is Mark Good. I'm with Venture One Real Estate, and I'm here to talk about Venture Park 57. As all of you know, you have a packet in front of you that is the information that we provided to you over the last 2 or 3 weeks in private sessions about our company, our commitment here. I'll just, for public record, state that Venture One is an industrial real estate developer and investor. In the last 7 years, we built approximately 16.5 million square feet. And I say 3 million of those square feet were built here in University Park. We control about 1,100 acres of industrial land around the Chicago area, and our holdings here in University Park are approximately 300 acres. I did provide, and I won't go through it, all of the different transactions we've done, but we've built buildings. By the way, for those of you in University Park, we built the Georgia Pacific building of 1 million square feet. We did do the Amazon transaction in our business park, and we just recently finished the Ryerson transaction. Those 3 buildings together are 3 million square feet. The Georgia Pacific building, since you're talking about TIF 5, is in TIF 5, and as you know, their TIF expires in the end of this year, next year. And as 1 million square feet, they're paying probably $1.5 to $2 million in taxes there that will come back to the taxing bodies in the next year or 2. So you can flip through the transactions. I know I showed that to you before. I do want to state for the public record that Venture One has been investing in University Park since the year 2000. When Marathon Oil decided to sell their excess land here in 2000, we bought approximately 140 acres south of Drawley in the old industrial park. We did a couple of peaker plants there. We also donated about 40 acres of our property to the village in the early 2000s. That was open land for open land and parks and walking areas. And most recently, we donated approximately a 4 or 5 acre site for a future village fire station, a police station, in our original investment that we made here. And that's right at Bond Street and Governor's Gateway. We are very, very interested in the success of University Park as developers, as we are in all the communities we develop in. And as part of the last transaction that we did, we rebuilt the baseball stadium, which is Craig Park, as part of our transaction there. And as part of the Amazon transaction, we contributed a significant amount of money for new fire trucks and police vehicles, because any improvement here in the village is a benefit to the businesses that we bring to the community. One of the things, and if you go to page 6, that we did is we did provide, and it's interesting because we're following a discussion on TIF 5, and our presentation also includes a little bit of that. University Park's mill rate is significantly higher than all of your competitors in the region from an industrial development perspective and even from a community perspective. Your mill rate is around 4.72, Moniz at 1.89, Romeoville's at 0.97, Joliet's 1, Bolingbrook's 0.9, Shanahan's 0.67. These are all basically Will County communities that have large business parks and industrial parks that we compete with on a regular basis. So on average, our tax rate on an industrial building is $1.73 a square foot, compared to approximately $1 a square foot for all of our competitors. If you turn the page to page 7, it's a graphic that you can see, and I can show it to people here, but all the other communities are here in blue, we're red, and we're significantly higher. So, that's a challenge in trying to bring communities to the area. 23 years ago, the village created TIF 5. Now, I know 23 years ago, that's a long time ago for me at age 72. It doesn't seem that long ago. Approximately when I started investing here in the community. That commitment to do TIF 5 is providing the benefit that the village is seeing today. I have some additional information from the gentleman that spoke earlier because we researched this. In TIF 5 right now, I think someone asked the question, there are 10 different buildings. Those 10 different buildings make up about 6.3 million square feet of space. Those 10 buildings would not have gotten built in this community without TIF 5. Because your tax rate is double all the other tax rates in Will County, many of those companies, without the benefit of an incentive, may have gone to other communities because it would not be competitive, because I can build a building in Joliet for the same price I can build it in Unity Park. If the company I'm talking to has to double the taxes to pay to be here than be in Joliet, they'll be in Joliet or Moni or somewhere else. The vision of doing TIF 5 23 years ago allowed those 6.3 million square feet to be built, and I'm happy that out of that 6.3 million, we participated in 1 million square feet of that, so almost 20%. Now, our records show that in TIF 5, and this is what we pulled off the tax records, because we have all the tax PIN numbers. Currently, someone asked a question, there's $11,261,000 that we're showing that is being paid in taxes by those companies into TIF 5. In 2024, if you end this earlier, and I didn't know that was an option, but if you did, I think it's a benefit to the community if you were to do that. The community, we estimate, would receive somewhere between $3.5 to $4 million. The village of Unity Park. Now, I know going back 23 years and doing a TIF seems like a long time, but by building those buildings, instead of those being farms, which are paying nothing in taxes, now with that vision, in 2024, your village will receive a $3.5 to $4 million benefit. What you do with that money obviously is up to you, but it can be used for anything in your budget, for improving vehicles, building buildings, helping schools, fire stations, etc. If you go to page 11 in the presentation, and by the way, if you have any questions while I'm going through this, just yell them out, because I'm normally interrupted all the time anyway, so I don't object to that at all. The existing TIF 7 that was created a few years ago includes all the area here that's in yellow. So it's primarily all the area that's south of Stager Road from I-57 all the way over to Cicero Avenue. And in that area, we built the Amazon building right on I-57, which a lot of you know. And then I don't know if anybody here has seen it, but the new Ryerson building, which just opened up, is on Central Avenue, on the east side of Central Avenue. And we have one more site there to develop in our TIF 7. And those, I'm going to the next page. On page 12, those 3 buildings or 4 buildings that are now in TIF 7 will generate approximately $5 million in taxes. Now, the village has provided in their development agreements with us as the developer and the companies to entice them to be here in the village and be competitive, a tax incentive not of 90 or 100%, but only 75%. And the standard is 15 years. That's the standard. And that's what our agreement has been with the village for 15 years. Now, a TIF by law is 22 years. That's the, Illinois, when they pass a TIF, it goes 22 years. But if you only provide the incentive for 15 years in the last 7 years of that TIF, you get the benefit of that. The money goes into the TIF district, 100% of it, and there's no more incentive. So to the actual company. But the money ends up going into the TIF district. Now, the TIF District 7, the way a TIF works is that the money that's generated from the TIF district, those dollars that are in the TIF district have to be spent for the benefit of that district. Okay? So right now, the companies are paying $4.9 million in taxes. $1,240,000, 25% of that is going into the actual TIF district banking, okay, to be used for infrastructure and improvements in what's known as TIF 7 today, okay? But when we built the Georgia Pacific building and we built the Ryerson building, we improved the water system and we connected it from Central to Cicero. We improved the sanitary system a little bit there, and Central Avenue is in good repair. So there's really no infrastructure currently in TIF 7 that would utilize the $1,240,000 that would be going to the bank every year. Okay, that's money that would not be spent, it would just accumulate over time for the next 20 years. Our thought, and in talking to trustees and the staff, is that we own land that we bought east of Cicero Avenue. Cicero Avenue, as you know, it's stable, it's getting a traffic signal. And for those of you who know it, we have land that's on the north side of it would be an extended Stager Road going east, Governor's Gateway, and land on the south. South of Stager, we would estimate would be both commercial and industrial. And on the north would be commercial and possibly multifamily. And I know we talked about possibly a sports dome, which I'm not sure what the village's position is on this. We're open one way or the other to the sports dome. I don't want to say we're indifferent, but we would cooperate, because if the village believes that would be important to the village, then we would contribute the land for that sports dome to be built in what we've called the new TIF 7 expansion area. I'm going to turn the page again, and that shows the sports dome, which may or may not be built. So I'm going to skip over that for now, because you have to make a decision whether or not you want a sports dome here in our park. And if you do, we can talk about what that means and what we would contribute. And I'd be interested in getting feedback from the village tonight. Next page on 15 shows the 2 industrial buildings that we would propose to build there. Each one's about 1 million square feet. So if you look at the Georgia Pacific building, the Amazon building, the Ryerson building, each one of those approximately 1 million square feet. We build large buildings, that's what we do as a development company. So we would build those 2 million square feet there, hopefully in the next 2 years. The challenge is that Stager Road is not completed east of Cicero Avenue. So our proposal would be that we, the next page is the benefits to University Park, and we all know the benefits. We increase the tax revenue, we get more jobs, and the 3 buildings we did here, I think we're bringing over 2,500 jobs to the community. Increase your tax base long term. Industrial buildings provide stable revenue going forward into the future. And in this development, what the community needs is commercial. It needs shopping, it needs restaurants, it needs commercial. And we think by extending TIF 7 east of Cicero, we could turn the corner of Cicero and Stager into a retail corner for retail development. So what we would propose is extending TIF 7 east of Cicero Avenue to include our land east. We were willing to, if the village wants us, to donate approximately 25 acres for the building of a sports dome, if the village wants it there in our business park. So we would contribute the land to the dome facility or to the village or to another entity to build the sports dome. We would construct the infrastructure to build Stager Road from Cicero Avenue to Governor's Gateway, and that would include bringing water and sewer as well as the road from Cicero to
You say Governor's Gateway or Governor's Highway?
Governor's Highway. I'm sorry.
So there'll be a
I just turned 72 this week, so I might make some mistakes. Never thought I'd get to 72, but I am at 70. So anyways, we would go from Cicero to Governor's Highway and connect Cicero. By doing that with University Parkway completed to Governor's Highway, it creates a square and it creates a significant traffic and transportation benefit to the community. I know it's in the long-term transportation plan to extend Stager to Governor's Highway. I know that the state of Illinois is building that new stoplight and signal at Stager and Cicero with the anticipation at some point that Stager would be completed. So what our proposal would be is that we would fund the improvements of Stager from Cicero to Governor's Highway. We would utilize the excess proceeds from TIF 7 at $1,240,000, which is just sitting there and it's not being used for anything, to repay us for building that road over time. Maybe that happened 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. Not sure what that would really take, but we would be repaid for our investment in the road from the proceeds from TIF 7. One of the things that needs to happen is that TIF 7 proceeds need to be used for TIF 7 benefits, which is why everything comes together. So if our property is put into TIF 7 and we extend Stager with this, be in this new property that's in TIF 7, we can use the proceeds from the existing TIF 7 properties to help pay for the road. And that's our plan. We would hope that the village would consider this. By the way, I do appreciate everybody meeting tonight. I know that we talked about possibly meeting Thursday. My wife appreciates it because we're leaving on vacation tomorrow. So I apologize for that. We're supposed to leave Sunday, but when I was told we had a meeting tonight, I pushed it back and I got in trouble for that anyway. So thank you all for being here tonight.
So let me ask, is this the meeting where
Then the board members don't ask questions.
I'll answer any question. Yes, sir. Yes,
So,
I'll get you this minute.
your handout says that, Venture Park 57 will receive all available proceeds from the existing expanded TIF 7 area until the cost of the infrastructure plus 9% and carry is fully paid. So, we'll bring the road and whatever infrastructure and have.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so I'm looking at number 4.
Yes, ma'am.
And so it says that, Venture Park 57, that's your, right?
Yep, Venture One, my company, Venture One Real Estate and
Will
Development.
receive all available proceeds from the existing and expanded TIF 7 area until the cost of the infrastructure plus 9% interest carry is fully paid.
That's correct.
So you're gonna be bringing businesses there, right? That's what
The goal is to, I don't know when a company might come and build in our new expanded area, but we're willing to make the commitment to build the road, even if we don't get a new building in our new park, just utilizing the money from the existing buildings that are there. You're sitting on cash you can't use in TIF 7 right now from the Amazon and the Ryerson deal and the few other companies that are there that are providing some small dollars.
I really don't know why you have to pay interest.
What's that?
I want to know, why do we have to pay interest?
Well, I have to pay interest. If I borrow $5 million to put in the road from my bank, this is about what I'm paying in interest right now. Rates are up, so.
So you're saying that we would pay 9%?
I'm happy to say that you would pay whatever my interest carry is, and right now it's 9%. And if I get a fixed loan, it might be a little bit more than that. If I get a floating loan, it might be a little less.
And that 9% is out of the increment.
That comes out of the increment. The village doesn't pay anything. It all comes from the $1,250,000 that's being paid. An eligible cost in TIF districts is interest on the money expended, whether the village expends it or we expend it. The village could go out and borrow the money for the road now and do all this and expand TIF 7 and use that $1,250,000 as well. But I don't think the village wants to spend the $4 or $5 million to do it. We would spend those dollars. As soon as we get paid back, then that increment that we built up in TIF 7 now stays in TIF 7 and we're done. We don't get any more money from that for the road that we built. If that makes sense. It's not that we're looking to make money, we're just looking to pay for the cost of the money because we would borrow the money.
Okay, anybody else in the council? Mrs. Morgan?
Yes.
Trustee Wilcher?
So what you're proposing is to extend TIF 7 across the street.
Across this road to Governor's Gate.
Across the road.
To Governor's Highway.
Right, it's basically across the road.
Yeah.
Right, so that means now we're carrying on by adding industrial development site across the road where that's some place that we did not want to extend it, right? So that was the purpose of it ending right there, because we wanted to keep all the industrial buildings in one particular area. So now you're asking for us to extend it so we can bring in additional industrial buildings.
Yeah,
on the
well,
other side of the street.
yeah, I would look at that land that sits north of Carvana up to what would be the extended Stager Road to be industrial, with the corner of Stager and Cicero to be retail on both the south, east, and northeast corners, of which we control those two. Yeah, and then there's a light there for that retail. And then the industrial would be in that area. That area we're talking about industrial, if you're to look at an aerial, really is isolated. You know, you got a Carvana on the south, you got Cicero on the west, and Governor's Highway on the east. So it's really an island in the community, and we don't see it. We don't see a big commercial shopping center going there. We see what I would consider to be a very good lifestyle center at the corner with restaurants, possibly a hotel, gas stations at Cicero and Central on the property we have.
So that was one thing you brought up, hotel, because that was one of the questions I had asked.
Yeah, I would think that would go on the corner of Cicero and Stager on the north. I would think we'd put it on the northeast corner. We have a fairly large parcel that could support a hotel.
But how would it go there if you were talking about putting it into industrial buildings?
Because we look for hotels to be near industrial. It's an amenity to when companies bring people. And we also need to have restaurants and other commercial facilities because we're putting hundreds of, maybe thousands of employees here. You know, you want to have commercial nearby. Right now, there's nowhere for any of our employees. That's one problem we have with developing Unison Park is there's nowhere for our employees of companies we bring here to eat or stay in Unison Park. So by doing this, we'll be able to have Stager Road go through. That will make it a major intersection and road. And then on the north side of Stager, at the corner there, and even the south side of Stager at the corner there, I would think we could attract possibly a hotel, restaurants, you know, and other amenities. That would be our plan.
And for this is for the board, why would we, since there's money already in the TIF, why would we give them that money before they could get the loan out? Why is it that the village don't do it themselves or work with somebody else to get it for interest lower than that? You told us 8%, now I see today it's 9%.
Rates are going up.
Okay.
I mean, we all know that.
I'm just stating that's what was presented.
Yeah, this is,
so
yeah, it's a,
now it's 9%. But why is it that us as a village cannot, I'm talking to the board, as to get that money ourselves, to invest it. There's other programs that's out there. I just met with the Will County, they have the economic development where they offer programs, but at 2% interest. So maybe we can find something, if this is something that the board is interested in, to get it for, we don't have to let you get the loan. We could get the loan if we don't have to pay it.
I'm very happy if you want to extend TIF 7 from Cicero to Governor's Highway. Very happy to work with you on the dome. I don't need to build the road. If you want to take the $1,240,000 and whatever other money comes in and go bond that to go build the road, that's fine. The money just has to be spent. The money needs to be spent as a benefit to TIF 7. So the whole idea was to extend TIF 7 to the east, and that way you can use the money that's already coming into TIF 7 to build the road. Whether you want to build the road or we build the road, I don't care.
It can only be used until 7, which I understand, but it's also a value, just like you're saying in the tips, that once it expires, we'll have that money to use for other capital improvement projects, right? So that's what I'm saying. You're making it seem like there's no other way to use this money. It is. Once it expires, we'll have money to be able to use for stuff just like what the school district just presented, and that we can present here in capital projects for ourselves. So there's other options.
Yeah, for the TIF 5 money that you will get, that $2 or $3 million, $3 million,
Right, same with TIF 7.
you can use that, you can use those dollars for anything in the village, okay? The money that's being paid to you by the companies in TIF 7, that's the remainder money, that 1.2 million growing, that can really only be used for the benefit of TIF 7. And right now what TIF 7 is Amazon and Ryerson, and maybe one other building.
But I'm saying that's for right now. I understand what you're saying, that you only use it right now before the tip expires. But once the tip expires, you can use it for anything that you want.
Yeah, TIF 7 will expire, and TIF 7.
Because you make it seem like there's no other way to use this money. It's the same way. We used to hold on to it until the tip expired. Then we could be projecting out 5, 10 years now what we want to do with this money once it comes back.
TIF 7, yes ma'am. TIF 7 will expire in approximately 20 years. So you can wait 20 years and then spend it, but it's something else other than in TIF 7, and it will build up to be quite a big bundle of money sitting there. Or you could take that money now and use it to improve Steger Road from Cicero to Governor's Highway. Look to try to take advantage of the new lights that are going in at Cicero and Steger and try to get some retail there. I would love to see retail on that corner. It would be a benefit to my developments that I do here. And honestly, I don't see any other use for the land south of Steger other than industrial. You got Carvana on the south, you got Governor's on the east, and you got Cicero on the west. It's a perfect industrial. It used to be an old airport, so who knows what we'll find there. But the reality is that that's what our thought is, and that's what we bought it for.
And TIF 7 is how many years is TIF 7?
It's a 22-year TIF that started about 3 years ago, I think.
So I know that was our goal. We were just stating that we were trying to do, 15 years or something, so now we trying to extend it and...
No, so let me explain how the TIF 7, TIFs in Illinois are 22 years. That's standard. So everybody gets a 22-year TIF. That's what TIF 5 was, that's what TIF 7 is.
Well, what did you ask TIF 7 to that stuff?
No, so I can explain it. I think I can explain it pretty well. So, as a community, there's eligible costs that you can spend money on for a TIF. And those eligible costs are any infrastructure, there are any site work, there are any ground improvements. You can spend it for legal fees that are there and insurance that is used for the money you've borrowed. Okay, so when a company comes to TIF 5 or 7, what we've done, because a lot of other communities have TIFs and it's very competitive, is that in order to make our taxes in line with the other communities like Monique and Joliet and the graph I just showed you, we provided a 75% benefit off of the current taxes that University Park has to try to put us in line with our competitors. And then the decision is, how long do you then provide that benefit to those users? It's been the interest of the village to try to get long-term tenants here. So we try to match the leases we have and the companies we're building for with the benefit that we give them. So by providing them with a 15-year benefit, you know, we try to get 10 to 15-year leases, or we try to get them to own the building. We don't want to do a 3-year. I can't finance a 3 or 5-year lease. So I try to get the companies to commit to 10 to 15 years to be here, or own the building, and then we've provided them with a 15-year benefit. And then if the TIF lasts 20 years, like it will for Amazon or for Ryerson, after that benefit expires for them, you get 100% of the dollars coming in. They no longer get any benefits for that remaining period. So for Ryerson, it'll be about 5 or 6 years. For Amazon, the same thing. It's about maybe 6 years. So then you get 100%. And that 75% benefit to them goes away. Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
So I'm trying to entice companies to come here for a long period of time. I don't want them to come here for 3 years. That doesn't do me.
Another question.
Yeah.
One more question. So you talked about the incentives that you offered when Amazon came in and was also with Ryerson Steel. What is there to offer for this, for us to do this? Are you offering anything for the community, bringing in what?
So for Amazon, it was our first deal in TIF 7, and the ask by the village at that time was for us to pay an additional $1 million for a fee to the village. I forget what we called it, to buy fire trucks and police cars and other things. So when we did that, we said, you don't have to increase the 75%, but instead of doing 15 years, I think we did do 17, because at the very end of the transaction, the village made an ask of $1 million cash. So we paid $1 million to the village for a permit, basically, so you could buy equipment, and the village said, okay, we'll help you out, we'll extend for Amazon 2 years on the TIF.
Wasn't that a loan?
That was a loan.
Yeah, it was a loan.
That was a loan.
Still owe money on.
No.
At 7%.
No, the TIF, we didn't loan, we gave the money to the village, it wasn't a loan. What it was is that $1 million, because it was an improvement to the TIF, became a TIF eligible expense. So that's all it is. It's just a TIF eligible expense. It wasn't a loan. There were no, it's absolutely not a loan.
Now, in the agreement, the contract states that it was a loan. I know that you all afterwards said that you're gonna pay it out of the TIF, but if the contract stated that it's a loan. It's 3 years.
I don't think so.
Okay, because like you're saying for that particular heritage.
I'll look at it, but I negotiated, but I think it wasn't a 3-year
Yeah,
payment.
we remember it as well. But as for that particular
Yeah, I
area,
don't think so. I'll look at it though.
for that particular area, like
Some of
you
my-
stated, that it's still gonna be more traffic in this as for officers. I'm just saying, that's why I asked the question, like the support, like you were saying that the support for the fire trucks and police cars and stuff. It would be a similar situation if we're gonna expand this, where we add in retail and different things like that. That is being proposed. Not to say it's happening, but this is something that you're proposing, that it's gonna be an expense on the village to do this.
Why would it be expensive on the village?
I just stated, like you just said, police officers, patrolling, fire. This is another area that would now have to be manned with less of a department right now. I know this is down the line, but I'm just stating that it's gonna be additional services that's gonna be needed.
Yeah, so typically villages like us, because we bring jobs to a community. We use the least amount of services of any real estate that's out there. We use less services than apartments. We use less services than really retail. We use less services than commercial or residential. So we use less services. We just do. And we've been a big, and I've been a big proponent of assisting the community. So you know, we redid Craig Park, every time we've done something here, we've tried to improve the community that we're in. We do that in everywhere we work. But, you know, and the donation of the land that we did for the fire station and the police station at Bond and Governor's Highway on the southwest corner there was about 7 acres. That was a nice contribution. We didn't have to do that. The village wanted to have a station there, and they needed the land to do it. So we try to work with every community we develop in to try to help them improve their areas. If you have an idea that you want to do to help improve it, that's great. But I do believe that the logic is the more industrial buildings you can put on land that's geared for industrial and more jobs you can bring to the community so your children have a place to work, so your friends have a place to work. You know, we brought Amazon.
Transportation to all those jobs right there.
What's that?
There's no transportation for people from over this side over to the industrial park, so it can't use that.
Well, I don't know.
It's not your fault. It's not your fault.
Well, I would say this, that you have a metro station there, obviously bringing people from other areas. But you know, Amazon employs over 1,000 people, and Ryerson's going to employ over 200 or 300. I'm sure there's people from University Park that are now going to be working there. I can't deal with PACE or public transportation, but the more employment you have in that area, the easier it will be to negotiate with PACE to get bus routes. I mean, that's just a fact. I mean, we've worked with them in other areas. They need a certain base, but that will be a driver for public transportation if you have more jobs in that area.
And I just brought up service because I do hear from our police that they do spend a fair amount of time patrolling and having issues over in the industrial park area.
Yeah, I'm not
so
gonna.
that would be another. That's why I'm stating that it's
Yeah.
going to be another area that's going to have to be made.
Yeah.
So services will be needed within the village to help support.
Yeah, and I can agree with you. If we build more, there will be a little bit more. But I will say this, the vision that this village had 22 years ago, when you did TIF 5, you're benefiting from now. So in 2024 and 2025, you will get between $3 to $4 million of additional revenue to your budget that you didn't have a year or two ago. And so you could take some of those dollars for those businesses that came here and use that for the services. 20 years from now, if I build another 3 or 4 million square feet, you'll have another 2 or 3 or $4 million when that comes due for helping other areas of the community. This is more of a visionary future plan, but communities, 20 years goes by awfully quick, especially as you get older. But the reality is that, there will be a moment in time, 20 years from now or 19 years from now, when this TIF expires, TIF 7, and there'll be an influx of another $3 or $4 million, $5 million to the community. And
your company will reap the
One
benefits.
second.
You can put me on hold.
Mrs. Morgan, please
Your
answer.
company will be reaping the benefits
Mrs.
of
Morgan.
what this village does for you right now.
Mrs. Morgan,
Something wrong?
please allow the trustees to speak first, and then I'll get to you. The trustees are going to take priority first. Give Mrs. Trustee Williams an opportunity to speak, then I'll come to Mrs. Saunders and to you, okay? Please. Go ahead, Trustee Williams.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I was going to say, regarding everything you're telling us, and I know in the past, you did give money towards the Craig Park. We are in bad need of a cable station. We have no cable station at this time. Is that something you would consider having one rebuilt or remodeled? Because that's something that our community needs. Our residents, I got emails today from residents who were asking, how come we can't see our cable station, see our shows, our village meetings?
So I'll tell you how I work in the business I'm in.
Okay.
Every time we will build a building here, we will do something for the community.
Exactly.
Okay? Now, we were asked to do Craig Park. That was $500,000. We put that in our budget, we paid for it, and we did Craig Park. We were asked to provide dollars for fire, we did that. We were asked to donate land for a fire station, we did that. So if we do another transaction, we do big buildings, You know, we were talking to someone about redoing the football field here, and I walked the football field here. I can't remember who that was, but it was someone, and they said they wanted new stands and a new stadium. So we would do, we invest in the communities we invest in, okay? I will not ever dictate to a community what they want or what they would need for a project we do. In different communities, we do different things. But if there's something, and cable is what the board wants, and we can put it in our budget and make it justify, we would do that. If it's a football stadium, we would do that. We can't do it all at once. We would try to budget it so we're still competitive with all the competition we have out there, but we work really hard to try to work with the communities to say, what do you need? Because if you're a better community, you give me a better chance to be successful.
Right.
And that's how we look at it. So we have no problem with that. We will not tell you what we're gonna do. We'd rather you tell us what you would like, and then we'll try to figure it out if we can make it work.
Well, we are in better need of that. This young lady right here, our engineer, she would tell you, she cannot even work in there.
Yeah, and I can appreciate, that's why I'd like to build, I'm in the building business. I'd like to build more buildings, and I can build another 3 million square feet here, so that would support a lot of community activity that we can be about, and we would like to do that.
Okay.
I'll answer any questions.
Even if you can zoom in, the general public they're not holding, those who are watching are not holding the map. I just kind of want to recap a little bit, Mr. Good, of what you were speaking. For those who, is this a good shot, Nina? Okay, great job. I just want the general public to know is that this is your 10th 7 that Mr. Good is talking about. Here he wants to expand over towards Governor's Highway. And here north, as he was speaking, as we know, as you come up Cicero, Steger Road, there is no road there. That's what Trustee Bolcher was speaking about when we were speaking of building a road. That will cost money to do that. That's what he's saying, you know, it can't be done. He's also speaking about this area here of donating land. We have a gentleman that has been trying to speak about a sports dome. I won't say more until they come to their presentation, because that's their job. And Mr. Good is saying that he's willing to offer that land up top. Now, in saying that, this be my portion. You know me, Mr. Good, I'm looking for retail, because this is what the residents have been saying. So I just want to kind of recap the discussion you and I had. You were very clear with the pen, if I can just point. If I'm not mistaken, Gina, here we go, right here. It's right here on the northeast corner, northeast corner, southeast corner, and the southwest corner, the 4 corners. Is that what you're speaking of?
No, the 2 that I would be focused on would be the northeast and southeast. The southwest corner has a wetland right on the corner.
That is right, yes, and for those who don't know, that is where that old movie theater drive-in is, right? Right, so, and if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Good is speaking, if he has to do it, I think, Mitch, you may have to do a retention pond on this side.
We have to do retention ponds whenever we develop something, but we can't move or get rid of wetlands.
Right.
So, and unfortunately, there's wetlands on the corner of, on the southwest corner of Cicero and Steger is a wetland.
Okay, and then also, for those who don't know, this is Carvana right here, and so just know this is where Mr. Good is speaking about. And like I said, this is our golf course. You got Governor's Highway, and so this is the road he's talking about connecting for those who out there in television land on the cable station. They're, that's trying to see what exactly, because there is no map in front. So, Mr. Good, just for those who don't know, this would be a good spot, especially for the commercial, because the, what do we call it? Hickory Creek, or Hickory Creek. Hickory Creek is right here, so, yeah, so right behind there, that's where we're speaking of retail and possibly sports zone. So that's the map. This is what he's talking about.
I would state that, now, just so you know, there's two owners here. There's myself and there's Mr. Silverman.
Right.
Mr. Silverman owns the east corner. I own the northeast corner. I can commit that we will do retail on the northeast corner because I own it.
Right.
Mr. Silverman is his own person. So,
Right.
as you all know. So I can talk to him about that, and that would be the logical thing for him to do there.
Right.
And I would propose that to him, but I can't commit for him. But I can't commit for us.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted the general public, everyone doesn't have a map, but I think, what he's talking about, that they can see the growth that we're speaking about, and this is the beginning of the conversation, which is important for us to know what we're trying to do out here with TIF 7. If you remember, this is actually University Parkway, and already here, down here, we have a truck stop. Am I correct, man? The truck stop?
University Parkway and Central.
Central.
Travel center.
So we're still along that line of.
And that's in TIF 7 as well.
Yes, so that's my point, is that TIF 7, that we haven't, we're putting our retail in there like we had discussed in the past, but I wanted the general public to see the map and for me to get close enough, and she did. So I think this is the best diagram that we have. Amazon, Georgia Pacific, as well as, what's the right?
Ryerson, that's Central Steel.
Central Steel.
Slash Ryerson.
Yeah, so I give my time, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, because you know what, the travel center has the Jimmy John and Sababo on there.
So,
And Dr. Donuts.
in the Dunkin' Donuts. Right.
No, it's gonna come.
That's what's under construction of the accessory now. No, that's terrible.
Then we go right at the northeast
You got the
corner,
color, but it's the T.
Central University.
Mrs. Saunders and Mr. Morgan, maybe.
I have a question. I guess I'm confused because a few months ago, we had the Illinois Central Railroad proposing building all around this same area and enhancing that railroad area. That's what?
That's on the other side.
That's
the TOD study you're talking about.
Right.
We're talking about a completely different area. You're talking about between the golf course and the metro station inside.
Yeah.
We're talking about a completely different area.
Oh, it's a different area.
Yes.
Because I was talking about this
The
area.
TOD study is going strong.
Right, this is,
It's a road station. Use your yellow. Use your yellow.
oh, yeah, that's
Use your yellow. This is perfect.
The other question I have is we have this sports complex proposed. Have we made agreements with Richmond Park? Have we talked with them? Because they should be able to benefit that, Have we talked with them? We're talking about, building up our stuff to the point where, it may impact them too. So we might need to have discussion. That's all I'm saying.
They own the land.
They own the land.
They own the land. Has nothing to do with Richmond Park.
Okay.
Mike,
That's okay.
Now, Richard,
the other gentleman owned the land.
this land that we own is in University.
University.
Yeah. On Cicero, Saunders. As you're going north, you make your left turn to go to State Road, and it takes you to Harlem.
Yeah.
Going west, and now he's talking about instead of going north, going east over the Governor's Highway. It's the same State Road intersection.
And that will really complete a transportation circle, around this whole area to alleviate traffic.
The area that almost is Cook County.
It's in Cook County, it's north of State. Where we're talking about from the dome is, and the retail will be Cook County.
He's on by the record.
No, they don't.
Oh, it's private.
Anybody else? Ms. Morgan? Maybe some of you. Only coming in 30 years.
I'm ready. I'll answer, by the way, if you have a question, I'm happy to have you do it privately and call me. Answer any questions.
That wasn't the only one, but you said something. You said that, I'm on the committee with baseball. And they started preparing or doing something to the field, Great Park. I'm sorry, sir. $500,000, not even what they told us, $350,000 was not spent on that field. Great Park.
I spent it. So let me say this. We have a budget, okay? And there's hard costs and soft costs. And we have to pay the contractors and everything else. But we redid the lights, the outfield, the fencing, everything you asked for. The concession stands, we redid inside the concession stands. Parking lot. And when you add it all up, it's a significant amount of money.
The fencing was already there.
We improved, if you look at it, it's in a much better condition than it was.
They said that they were gonna do the basketball.
We did repave the basketball court. We did. We repaved it. We repaved the tennis courts.
I was out there each and every day. I'm up and about 6:30 in the morning. I was out there and I sat and I watched. And I liked it. And then they did it so sparingly until I was tired of coming each and every day. Because it wasn't hardly out.
I would say this, we worked with the village staff and we worked with the people that were involved there. And I hope we did a good job. I like to think I build good buildings. I've never done baseball.
I think whatever you contributed to it, I really do. And I'm really being genuinely appreciative of what you did. But we thought that I don't know who y'all shot for, because the amount of money that you said, it doesn't show. It doesn't show in the park.
Well, I hate to say it, I'm spending a lot more money for buildings. Not the same as I did a few years ago, but there's, all I can say is that we made a list of everything we're gonna do. And we gave it to the village, and here's everything we're gonna do, and we did it. And I paid the bill, so I mean, and again, I'm happy. I think I gave them the cost to the village too, and I said maybe it's $450, but somewhere in that range. And again, I don't remember every number I ever deal, and I wasn't that involved in that, but I know it's one of that. But the reality is that we said this is what we're going to do, and we did it, and we had a specification of what we're going to do. And if something was wrong, we went out afterwards. I think we redid some additional work in the outfield. We made sure the lights were working. That was a slow delivery on those items. But I hope it's being used. I hope it's still in good shape. Everything in the concession stand is new. So I hope, but we're not here for maintenance. We turned it over to the village, and then it's the village's responsibility to maintain it and operate it. And hopefully you're doing that, because things can go, bad quickly.
Well, we appreciate it. I don't want to sound like we're...
And we looked at the football stadium too that's over there, and it needs a new concession stand and everything else. I'd say that when I told the mayor that, you just have to tell us on every transaction we do what's important in a village, and we invest in it.
Wagons in a campsite.
They didn't do it. No, they didn't do it.
There was supposed to have been skateboarding.
No, I had a discussion with the mayor, and we did not include the skateboard in it.
See, I was under the same impression at one time that there was a skateboard park as well.
Yeah, it was not in the final spec that we did. Everything was focused on the basketball. I on the next deal, if you want to skate, I mean, we can do things and build it into the next transaction, but it wasn't expected.
And I'm listening someone here regarding the TIFs. I haven't heard anything about the senior citizens. Is there anything in this for us, the senior citizens?
There's a baseball field. I'm sorry. And there's a skate park that they want. But my perspective is that I go to the board, the village, and the staff, and I say, in every transaction we do, we want to make the community better. So give us a list of what you want. We'll budget for it, and we'll try to work together to come up with a plan that we can afford to put into our budget. And if they want something for seniors, we'll figure something out for seniors. But we didn't because we weren't in. I mean, if you were to talk to the board and they said, hey, on your next building you build here, we would like X, Y, or Z for the seniors, then we would build a spec and we would try to do that.
Correction, Mayor. I think, yes, this
I just can't get into specifics.
I was going to say, Ms. Alexander, before anyone say any further, Trustee Williams and myself, we did inquire about it, and that's where Mr. Good came in when we spoke about the land, and we were asking, is the sports facility, would it be for our seniors? We even spoke about our youth. I was with Trustee Williams when we had, when we spoke with Mr. Good, and, like you said, he's a, what was the word you present the project, but he's like the face of the beginning, but the discussion, in fact, myself and Trustee Williams, we were trying to get more, we did say we were going to get more feedback from our residents, because if we did build something over there that's for the seniors or for our kids, the key thing is transportation.
Well, that's what we have a problem with now with the senior citizen. We have no transportation. I have to take an Uber to go to my doctor's appointments.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm trained to go down. I'm just looking for something to make it. So we, and I only speak for myself here,
Yes, ma'am.
can get around to get someplace and do something.
Yes, ma'am. And then, yes.
I'm quite sure when we first went this job, and that's all my fault. It's my husband to be there. However, I come to a point now I can't even get a bus to go to college. I can't get a bus to go to hospital. But there is nothing. There's no facilities. Anything.
Yes, ma'am. And I.
You guys have mothers and they're getting older. I mean, that was sort of the first thing that came to you guys' mind. What about the older people?
We did, in fact, yeah, and Mr. Good, we did have that discussion, and we did share with Manager Scott, so I would say that, it was indeed in the trustee's mind when this came about, because we definitely want University Park, as we grow, that it's going to get to the point that our kids are going to need buses, and our seniors are going to need buses. I was talking to Madam Clerk about 2 weeks ago, and Madam Clerk was speaking about when this was Park Forest South, how they managed then, and when it was a very diverse community of mixture of African Americans and whites and Asians here. We found a way somewhere down the line, and I did tell Madam Clerk, I made a statement. I said, Madam Clerk, where did we lose our way? Because, for the past decade and a half, we have lost our way of trying to make sure that our kids and our seniors are taken care of. And the reason why I make that as a big point is that, I'm sorry, the communities that I work for as a police officer, the city of Harvey, in the 90s, everyone knows Borden Township, they had buses picking up, taking their seniors everywhere in Harvey and South Hawk and so forth. And then, I would always praise the city of Country Club Hills. They have the service for it. So I think that for us to even begin to having that dialogue with the new board, I think that we are going in the right direction, because Mr. Good did, he said that would be more for you all. I can help you, but you all will have to have that mechanism mechanism as far as financing football, buses and so forth. He can only offer so much. It is up for us to make sure that if we do build something there, and it is for our seniors, say a track or walking track, they have to be accessible for you all to come, for University Park. It's time to make that change. If you're gonna think big, you gotta do big, but also save money.
Hey, Mark,
Trustee, I have an idea.
If we do decide to get the sports arena, one of the things would be pickleball.
Watching seniors play pickleball is fun.
well, see, once we start getting our numbers up, it'll justify the need to provide this.
I can comment on something that I don't know.
Listen up, guys. Mark, I know you've been standing up. I'm going to give 2 more questions from the rear, and we're going to go on to the next one if everybody has.
Can I respond though to something?
Sure.
Please,
Sure.
because I heard what you said. So theoretically, money can be spent for TIF 7 benefits. And if in TIF 7 you put a sports arena or a seniors or something there, you theoretically could, because TIF 7 is going on for 20 more years, you theoretically out of the $1,200,000, which will grow, because as we bring another 3 million square feet there, you can double that, right? It's now 2 million for. You can take that 2 million for and say, you know what? We built this facility in TIF 7 for the benefit of the employees of TIF 7, but also the community, and we'll open up $50,000 a year out of TIF 7 proceeds for transportation services to get members of the community to TIF 7. You can even do it for employees. There are eligible things that you can spend money for. So, you as a village need to think about how you want to do this. But the whole idea of what I do is I build industrial buildings, and I can build another 3 million square feet here if we expand it. That 3 million square feet, like the 3 million I already built, will bring in, again, another million too. You'd have $2.5 million. Now, part of that will go toward the road. You got to get that behind you. But as soon as that's done and the road's built, you now can take that $2 or $2.5 million that has to be used in TIF 7, and you can allocate it toward things that benefit the community in TIF 7. So if you build something there that's a health facility or something, I think you can do a workaround to get people to it. So, you can open up the thought process in terms of what you're thinking about. My job is to try to facilitate what's good for the community because it makes my project better. So that's how I look at it.
Mrs. Trustee.
Sorry, Mayor.
That's all right, Mark.
Thank you. Okay, but I'm not going to apologize to you, but I thank you for coming out here. But I don't want you to get this, you made a statement tonight that you bring jobs to us. You have jobs here, but I want to tell you, most of the people who are employable and who wants a job in University Park has a job. And if you do a little survey, the majority of the time, most of those license plates say Indiana. Now, board, take this under consideration. I've been here over 50 years, and I can count the number of houses, residential houses that you've built here. And we got all kinds of apartments over here. But if you have, people are not going to come when there are no houses here. The few houses that were built, they're occupied. And the big thing that these people say to me here is that we need policemen here. We need more.
Yes.
We need more policemen. I'm going to say that 10 to 12 times. We need an active fire department. This village is what, 95% African American, and 90% of them have high blood pressure. So,
I can appreciate it.
and if you go to the doctor on a regular basis, they tell you once a month you should have your blood pumped up. We have a little electric thing, but pumped up. And you can get that at the fire department. Most people do that. We need to have enough of that kind of thing here. So let's talk about trying to get some permanent residents here.
So I can address that.
Who really want to work. Majority of the people you have over there from Chicago and those employment agencies. They are not permanent jobs. They're not jobs that you can support a family with. They're not jobs you can work toward a pension with. I don't hear anybody, I see very little recognition for Governor State University. We are a university town, and I work there. I'm a retiree of Governor State and an alumni. And I know that the state schools don't usually get in bed with the municipalities, but there's a whole host of things out there. We can, they got a golf team that had to go away to Timbuktu to practice. But most of all on that list, our police department needs support. I can say it enough, they need support.
Well, I'll answer it in the only way.
So if you want to do something for us, and our children need support. 70% of the people in this town, families, are manned household by women. What are you doing for us? You come into a community, you want to use these long tips and all this other stuff, board, but let's do something here for what you have to entice people to say, where I live in University Park, we have this and we have that. Let's bring some of that here for the residents.
I can address that.
Okay, I'm going to tell you, those license plates, get out there, they say Indiana.
Well, I guess that was addressed to me and not to you all, although rather if you guys answer. But in TIF 5 is expiring, we're going to have an additional $3 million. That had a vision for 20 years ago. I can't tell, I'm not a trustee, but I'm assuming the trustees will look at those dollars. I'm assuming the trustees will look at those dollars and make a decision how to spend those for police or fire or whatever, or build facilities that will benefit the community. That's not my position. My position is to bring industry here for jobs, and most communities that we bring major jobs to, whether it's an Amazon or whatever, what happens is residential development follows and commercial follows that. That's a fact. That's just a fact. So when we come into an area like Shanahan, we built 3 million square feet, and you can call the mayor of Shanahan right now and she'll tell you that after we came there, we opened Amazon, and CJ Logistics, and Cardinal Health, and we opened Scott's Health, and they brought in 1,000, 2,000 employees. They had applications for permits for new housing like they haven't seen in years. Because people don't want to drive an hour to go to work, so they'll look somewhere. Now, I can't make people want to be in University Park. That's not my job. That's, in some respects, your job. What I can do is try to do the best I can through every project I do to build a baseball. Do whatever you tell me to do with some dollars that I can throw at it to make it better, but I'm not your banker. I'm just, a developer. So I'll do the best I can to make things better here, but I need your support as a teammate of mine to make that happen. And without that, I can't do it. But I can promise you that every transaction I do, there will be something in it for the community, because I do that in every town I build.
All right, Mark, I think that's it from everybody.
All right.
Thank you so much.
All right. My pleasure.
Thank you for your patience.
I don't think I can follow him. I made the mistake of bringing these exhibits, and I noticed you have a lot of audience information. I'm not sure how to get everybody. I'll put them here, and then or you can pass them around or whatever you like. For the record, my name is Gene Steinmarch, and I'm with GMT, G, Mike, and Terry.
Can everyone hear me?
I'm sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah. Well, that's all we know. We need to.
Okay. So my name is Gene Steinmarch. My address is 801 Park Drive in Flossmoor. I consult to a lot of communities out here, including Richton Park and the Chicago Southland Economic Development Corporation. And I should just say that I'm not here to make Mr. Good's case, but many
I think most of the things he said were correct about what follows what and the types of development you'd like to have. The thing that I'm here for is so tiny, I'm gonna fly through it compared to what the other two deals you had tonight. I represent not only do I represent public groups, but I also represent some private groups, and some of those are trucking interests that are moving down I-57. This particular one is going to be purchasing or wants to purchase the property at Bond and Cunningham. That is on the southeast corner of Bond and Cunningham. And did I get that wrong? Hamilton, I'm sorry. Hamilton. I always do that to make sure you're awake, Joe. The property will have a 25,000 square foot building to handle truck repairs and maintenance as well as truck sales. We're told that it is zoned properly. The individual could go in there right now and build this building. But I think we have a deal here where we could do good for both the community and the client. And here's what I'm proposing. In the early days of development, people would develop a large tract of land and they would create more or less of a stormwater basin, and then they would give it to the municipality. And the municipality would graciously accept it. Well, that's not really happening anymore because municipalities found out that they get a liability, they have to insure over it, they have to maintain it, they have to improve it, and so forth. It becomes a liability and it comes off the tax rolls. So what's happening now is when somebody builds a large industrial park or something, the municipal planners make them work the stormwater basin into the improvements. Well, in this case, you had a stormwater basin that was given, I'm sure, graciously by the developer of this property, which is on the south side of the property we'd like to develop. If you've driven over there, it's basically a big mud hole. It's full of weeds, and it is half full of water. So it's what we call an attractive nuisance. And if a young child were to get over there this summer and get involved with some weeds and get himself in the water, the municipality could have found themselves liable. It's not fenced, it's not staked, there's no signage on it that says private property or there's no trespassing. Or if there is, I didn't see it. So the point is, right now it's a liability to the municipality and it's off the tax rolls. So it's costing you money. So what we're proposing is we'll build it into our project. Oh, and it's also, if you look at the white drawing on the bottom, you'll see that it's partially, the piece to the south is partially covered with water, but it's also overlain with a big pipeline easement and a railroad easement. So you couldn't use it for anything if you chose to. I don't think it's marketable, except that it abuts our property. Now, when we build a project like this, we lose about 20% of our property for stormwater. Here we could move our stormwater over there. We can improve this piece, make a nice basin, landscape it, beautify it, make it safe, and we could put some additional parking on the property, and it would all go on the tax rolls. So we're asking the municipality as part of our improvement to give us that property. We're not dealing with TIF here, we're not asking for any money or anything. In fact, we're asking the opposite, which is hopefully going to enrich the community by some extra money for the improvement to that property. That's my pitch in a nutshell.
How much land is it?
Off the top of my head, I can't remember. We're buying 7.6 acres, and it's wider than our piece, so I think it's probably around 9 acres.
Exactly where is that?
It's,
Homestead and Western?
no, it's, right as you get off of I-57, if you took the first,
Monique and.
no, the first left, off of I-57. Yeah, that's a bond. And then you just drive down to about the second block, and it's right in the middle of that industrial area.
I thought you were talking about an area over on Western and Homestead. Taking that back road to the high school.
Right. We talking about going back that way, no. No, we
Now, I'll throw in a little,
Enjoy.
I'm sorry?
We won't get a chance, will the residents get a chance?
No,
to enjoy this?
this has no tie-in to any residential.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just that hopefully, I understand also you've got some stormwater problems in that area because IDOT has never taken pains to clear the culvert going under I-57. As a part of this project, I'm not sure who your municipal engineer is, I think it's Antero. But whoever it is, we'll work with them, we'll send our people over there to auger out that storm sewer under I-57 so that the whole thing starts working.
I have one more question. So what do you sell? What do you sell? What does your company sell?
I'm so sorry, I can't.
What does your company sell?
What do we
Because
sell?
you're saying that we're going to get tax revenues from
It's not my company, I just consult to
the
them.
company who you're consulting for. What is their business?
They sell brand new semis, and they also take semis for maintenance off of I-57 and so forth. They sell mostly,
Do you have this map, this diagram on paper, so we can look at it?
Or could you make email it?
Yeah.
oh, absolutely, you know, we put it in the packet.
So we'll get the sales tax revenue off the truck sales.
Yes, sir, and we're not asking for any rebate of tax revenues. And frankly, a fair question on your part is, well, what is our property worth? Well, it's partially underwater, and it's got a railroad easement and a pipeline easement that run across it. I honestly think if you put it on the market, I don't think you could sell it.
Yeah, so I see that, so we have to the left, we got the existing condition, which shows what is this at the top, a house, or what's at the top?
Could you speak into the mic? I'm so sorry.
That's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the top of the diagram. The first section says it's existing conditions. So right now it has some,
The stuff on the north is a piece we're buying from the neighbor.
okay, so this is like a home or something, right?
No, it's just a vacant piece of industrial. Are you looking at the right one?
So this is what it is now. This is how it is. Okay, so you just got the existing conditions.
Correct. So here's the subject site, and then you guys own this. And then over here is the driveway.
So this is that property.
Yeah, that's close.
All they want to buy this is a car park. And this right here. So they want to buy it to expand.
It's the only time I get my steps in.
Any other questions of Jane?
Hopefully this is going to be an easy one because we're not asking for a tip or any of that.
It's a win-win in my opinion.
Oh.
Because we're protecting our children, we're beautifying the area, and we're not out of money, so.
And it's already zoned industrial.
These wetlands already.
Yeah, Mayor, I'm not, I remember the village manager spoke about it, and I want to make sure that this guy, that was the gentleman that we didn't speak to, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me also say this, is that, yes, it was a period of time where maybe the former village manager would skip on some things, but saying that I didn't know anything, and I've been here, I didn't know anything about it, but yes, I agree with my colleague. It is a win-win situation, especially when I just looked and seen it and then the explanation. Because so much happens with us every day. We try to consume what people want, but yes, I recommend putting this on the agenda.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Trustee.
Good, thank you.
Thank you so much, Jamie.
What's the next step then? What do we?
Well, we'll have someone, our manager will contact.
Yeah.
Ask them to please give me a call.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Have a great day.
That's the advice.
Cleo Downs, please. Oh, I'm sorry, there's another agenda item. Unfortunately, there was a scheduling conflict, so Robinson will not be here tonight.
I would like to speak on this.
Okay, please go ahead, Manager Scott.
So this was.
It's the microphone, please.
So this is dealing with the lead pipe replacement grant. And I don't know why this isn't working, so we'll just finish. So this is dealing with that lead pipe replacement grant that we did receive. It's for $500,000. We received the money from Will County. We are using Robinson Engineering for this particular project, and I think I stated before because they specialize in water infrastructure projects. I've worked with them before. On water infrastructure, I want to add they're currently working on Hazel Crest and Robbins lead pipe replacement. They've also done approximately 50 other jobs as it relates to lead pipes and lead and water projects. So this is going to, basically they're averaging that it's going to be about 50 homes that we're going to be able to remediate. It's going to be based off of the oldest homes, that's what we determined, and there's a map that has a list of all the older homes. From there, we're going to go in and we're going to do interviews, conduct observation, not myself, but the engineering firm. They're also going to be doing lead testing, and it's going to be sequential and sequential sampling. Basically, it's going to be sampling that's going to be taken from different areas. It's going to be an independent water sampling, so it's not who Aqua uses, it's an affiliation with Aqua. And it's a water testing company that Robinson has been using on all of their projects throughout the state. So all the homes, as they go in, they may not have lead service pipe replacement. They also may not be galvanized, which is, steel pipes, which you may need replacing, but they're going to determine that. Everything's going to be done through bidding for the subcontractors and the work that's going to be done. So the total cost for the design phase for Robinson is $50,000, and the construction observation is another $50,000 for a total of $100,000. All of this money is not coming from the village; it's all coming from the grant. Also, I wanted to say we're going to be interviewing the residents. Part of this is interviewing the residents and asking them what's preventing them of the mistrust with the water system. We're also going to be looking at different aspects of the system, from the valve in the yard to the first wall and floor inside the house. So those are some of the things that we're going to be working on. So this is just to move this forward. Also for the project timeline, once this agreement is authorized by the board, we're planning on starting construction in March of 2024.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
So am I understanding that it's going to take 100,000 is that for the engineers and also for something else? So really, that only leaves about 400,000 for the actual putting in the pipes and stuff?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know the estimated cost of a
far as the cost for the engineering?
For doing the house.
So it depends on how much piping they're gonna have to replace. So it's not one set amount for each home, it's gonna be determined when they make the observation, and they're gonna be taking photos. They're gonna have people there doing the chemical, the water sampling and whatnot, they're gonna interview the residents. So it's going to vary from home to home.
So there's no way of us getting a good report on a regular basis. The reason why I say that is because if it's going to determine on the pipes and what pipe needs to be, so then you're going to go to all of these homes and little pipe added to here, none there, you know, you're going to go through. So how are we going to know?
I'm sorry. It's going to be documented. We're also going to be having meetings. We're going to have 3 progress meetings.
Did I say something to offend you, Trustee?
No, there was a bug. It was a bug. There was a bug.
How many people talking noise to me, you know?
It's literally a net. So it's been bugging us. Okay, so my apologies. We are going to have 3 progress meetings with village and staff. We were originally, Robinson said they were going to have it with staff. That's what they do in most municipalities, but I said not here. You can have it with the residents as well.
So how do you determine what home? You said old?
It's the oldest homes, and it's determined by the age of the homes, and they have a map that shows the age of the homes, when the homes were built, and they're going to go from there, and then they're going to be doing sequential testing, independent water sampling, and going in the homes. It's multi-layered.
Do you have an idea as to what it's about the oldest houses?
No, I don't want to tell you that offhand. I don't know the exact age, but I can provide that. Because they will be providing that to me, and I'll give it to you.
So, Madam, this is from the B box to the house, correct?
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
From the what?
From the B box.
That's the valve that controls your water system, which is typically located in your area.
So, since the water,
Your front lawn.
That white thing?
Yes.
when they go in there, so since the water prices, they're saying now that it's the homeowner's responsibility from the B box to inside the house, and that's what this layer pipe replacement grant is for.
So that it's no
It replaces
cost to
pipe
your residents.
from our property all the way into the house, where it's been, the car has been infected or whatever, it's their pipe.
Yes.
Did they factor in the landscaping at the home?
Yes, that is factored in. Landscaping is factored in, yes.
And then it said that it's going to be doing 7 additional, like, testing. Are those different homes or just a set of 50?
The homes that they determine to be the oldest, they're gonna go from there and they're gonna do sampling in different areas.
Okay, so then the other homes that will get sampled, and then not have the one that's chosen.
Correct. And then also, I just wanted to add in this agreement, when I read through it, it has on here something about over the cost of $750 for the agreement. Typically, so he said anything over that, the lab costs have to be covered by the village. I told him no, so he said that they're going to waive that. So there's absolutely no cost to the village.
Which part is the
That's on page 3, under clean construction and demolition debris processing, Robinson Engineering. So they have an independent testing facility, and typically with their agreements with municipalities, it's $750 is the max for the testing. No, Robinson. Robinson specializes in water infrastructure, so that's why I wanted to use them. I've used them before. They're currently in Hazel Crest, Robbins. I can't remember, but they're maybe working on 5 different municipalities.
Is Ernest still working with them?
No.
No, he's not.
Max. That's all my day.
He's where?
Max.
So I think this is a great opportunity for the village. We're going to continue to go after grants, and we're going to continue to work our way around, hopefully until all the homes are remediated.
And this is just for homes? No.
Right now, it's for homes, yes, yes.
You say, you say, that's not inclusive of the down on never signed or?
Yes,
Yes, right now we're gonna work on the
Just
homes.
a senior.
Yes,
The town will come later.
yes.
Okay.
And there is somebody here, I don't wanna say, but they had extremely high lead levels, so we'll be testing that area because they had very high water levels. And they're even gonna try to figure out, why some of those homes had higher lead levels than others and see if that's something that they can remediate. That's in this contract also.
Well, even when this all started, it surprised a lot of us that some homes that were spanking brand new, just about, we're talking about 10 years old, had like,
Yeah,
That was
because you were thinking that it was an older home, but in actuality, with, what's his name, with, Blanchett, when Blanchett, he was 47, he got something new on it.
I can see it because of that situation. We had no water main and no phone.
See, Ms. Moore, remember when it started, the whole area, even in Green Garden Township, was on the advisory. And as they moved forward, they started removing homes off of it. It's like Fairway Estates and Rosedale, those homes have the new infrastructure. So those homes were slowly but surely taken off. But to ensure the safety of everyone, there was a whole wide area that was under the advisory at one time. Yeah. So that's good stuff, and then we're going to start continuing to look for more grants to get some more participation from the community. Yeah? Thank you, Ms. Scott. Mr. Downs, last but not least.
Somebody could donate some mics, some real ones.
Hi, my name is Khalil Downs. I'm the owner of Production Distribution Company. We're an industrial lighting company located on the south side of Chicago. I want to say thank you for the village and the mayor having me back. We're here to talk about your village street lighting, and not just the street lighting, but also all the exterior lighting. We've been here a couple times, so I kind of brought an abbreviated report back, and I just want to go over kind of some of the facts and some of the numbers. If there's any questions, of course, you can ask them as we go. All right, there's been some changes since the last time I presented, of course, because certain things changed. The ComEd incentives have changed, so I've had to adjust that from the last time I presented. And also, of course, the interest rate has changed in the world, and I've had to adjust that on my report. All right, so if you open up the pamphlet we just handed out, I'm just going to go over some of the main numbers. All right, on the first page. All right, by doing the LED lighting and converting from what you're using now over to LED, the bottom line is once the project is over, you're going to save 74.8% on your energy. That's the amount of kilowatts or kilowatt hours that you're using now. That's going to be reduced by 74.8%. It's going to result in a $30,808 a year savings to the village. ComEd incentive on this project is going to be $92,076.20. The total project cost is going to be $269,935.49. If you subtract the rebate, that leaves the village a balance of $177,859.29. All right, you flip the page. All right, this is an example of the financing. Now, what happens here typically is you use the energy savings that's created in the project to help pay off the project. The project creates dollars that you can use to pay the project off. So in this situation, if you look at the numbers, and this is not an official document, nothing's been signed. This is just for me to go over to give you an example of what's possible. All right? Project is $269,935, and then of course there's the $92,000 ComEd incentive, that leaves $177. The bottom line is that would be a payment of $3,154 a month that the village would have to pay. But of course, the savings on this project is going to be $1,920, or almost $2,000 a month. So what you're really looking at is the village can do this project and come away with a payment of about $1,200 a month, which is actual dollars after the savings. Now the best thing about this is, once you do this project, the savings are going to go on forever. LED does not burn out. The only thing that happens on an LED fixture is that the driver has to be replaced in about 12 to 13 years. And a driver for an LED fixture costs about $35. And that would be the maintenance. Right now, not only are you changing these lights and paying maintenance on them on a regular basis, but you also have to deal with the lights being out, you have to deal with uneven light, and you also have to deal with security issues when there's areas with no light. A lot of that goes away by doing the project. So those are all savings on top of just the energy. All right. The rest of my document is basically a breakdown of the items that we're going to be using, and then it's also a document where I'm just breaking down the energy savings as far as how I calculated those numbers. Now, two things you need to know is that the numbers I'm giving you are factual. That's not like an estimate, and that's not like my opinion. These are actual numbers. What's been done so far in your village is if my team has walked your village, we've counted lights, we've looked at where the lights are, so we're very confident in our counts.
How many are out?
That's not something that I don't track which ones are out, because whether they're on or out, I'm just tracking all non-LED lights.
Mr. Downs, I'm just looking at this back page, it says ball field down there.
Yes.
We just had you there. So are you talking?
Yes.
Those lights, when we talking about the ball field?
There's a ball field, I don't know the exact address of it, but it's located in a park, of course. Now, you got to remember, this was counted in April. So if there's any work, and that's another thing I want to say, any work that you guys have done since we counted comes off of this number, right? If you guys have put in LED lighting, or if you guys have changed the lights over in the ballpark, that just comes off. We don't do anything with lights that are already LED, and we don't do anything with lights that belong to ComEd. That would just be, anything you guys have done, that would just be a reduction in the count. And of course, everything would be revised based on that count.
And the total balance, $154,349.
Where are you looking at this morning?
And that's the last page.
No, that last page is that's a material cost. If you look at the first page, you see a material cost and there's also a labor cost.
What's the total now?
The total is $269,935.
Manager Scott, how much do we pay on a monthly basis to ComEd now?
I don't have that, I don't have that here in front of me, because it's for several bills.
Okay.
What does that have to do with?
Now, I will say one thing, because we've been at this a while. You know, we've done most of the south suburbs, and the ComEd program has been on now for more than 6 years.
So talk to noise to me.
And
Okay?
every year, the incentives are being stretched because they're trying to incorporate as many customers as they can to give them an opportunity to convert the lighting. The reason this is going on, as you see in the commercials and everything else, when they're giving you grants to get an energy efficient refrigerator or energy efficient stove or whatever it is because there's no more room on the ComEd grid. So when they came up with a plan is, they need to reduce the energy on the grid. And that goes for every state in the United States. I mean, every state is doing some kind of program like this. But we're at the end of it. You know, we're getting to the end. And the incentives are lower. Now, the reason they're lower is because they're stretching the money out. They're trying to give as many customers an opportunity to get something. Because when the program is over, you're going to have to do it. You're going to have to make the conversion because the lights you're using now are being discontinued. That's the plan. No more metal halide lights, no more high-pressure sodium lights. It's just like a 100-watt light bulb that we all used to have in our house. They're not selling those no more, right? And that's the plan. Once they get rid of this, the lights you're using now are going to be discontinued and you're not going to be able to get replacements and you're going to have to replace them. Now, whether you replace those LEDs one at a time, whatever, you're going to replace them all and you're going to do it without the ComEd incentive. So, the longer we wait, the lower the incentive. When we did Hazel Crest, your incentive is $92,000 right now. When I presented, I think in last November, a year ago, I think the incentive was somewhere like 180 or 170. And that's strictly because of what ComEd was paying for an incentive. When we did Hazel Crest 4 years ago, I presented Mayor Alsbury his incentive. I gave him a check for $369,000. So the longer you wait, the lower the incentive.
I have a question.
Yes.
So on this first sheet, where did you get these kilowatt hours and annual cost?
Here's what we do. Two things we do. And I told you this earlier, everything we do is factual. So if I take out 200, I'm just saying a number. If I remove a 200-watt light that burns for 12 hours, I can compute the kilowatts that's being used. Then we get the ComEd bill from you guys, from the village, and we find out what does ComEd charge you per kilowatt hour. And that's stated on your bill. And that's how we do the calculations, right? Everything that comes out, we convert that to kilowatt hours. Just like everything that we're going to put in, we convert those to kilowatts. So,
Second question.
Yes.
What suburbs have you worked in?
Let's see, we've done Hazel Crest, Country Club Hills, Fort Heights, we've done Robbins, we've done Linwood, we've done, I'm missing some here. We've done a little bit in Harvey, we've done Richton Park. We not only did Richton Park, but we also did the whole decorative section, the business district for Richton Park. We did the decorative poles along with the light. But also, City of Chicago is the third largest retrofit in the country, and we supply a third of the materials for that as well.
So what happened, Mr. Downs, welcome back. I was one of the trustees that was still here. I guess the one question, well, I got a couple. We do have new trustees. What was the situation in Harvey? I think it became a problem. If you can explain to him.
Sure, absolutely. The situation in Harvey was when the mayor was elected, I talked to him before he even took office. And the number one thing he wanted to do was bring light to Harvey. Because Harvey's lights, of course, not only was old technology, but they were out. And he wanted to do it by Thanksgiving. So I did something that I never did as a businessman, is I went out and bought all the lights for Harvey so that we could get started and that we can help him fulfill his promise to bring the lights in November. So we've had all the lights. The deal, just like I'm telling you about financing, Harvey hit a snag in their financing, but it was doable. But Cook County came along, and Cook County had a program that says we're going to pay for disadvantaged villages. We're going to pay for the conversions, which sounded great. Harvey went along with it. Well, what happened to that was from the time they signed that document, it took Cook County a year and 2 months before they were ready to start their program. Now the problem with that is, of course, is I have all the lights that I've been holding because we were ready to go. So, but I held them. Yes, I held them. So once we started the program, and then it had to be bid, and then whatever, but roughly, from the time I bought those lights, we actually started the program a year and 8 months. Well, the biggest problem in the job was that Cook County never got funded. They started us, and we ended up installing about 72 lights. And then we had to stop because the deal was supposed to be where the contractor on the job got paid a portion up front to start. That never happened. There was never any payments, nothing ever came. So we put 72 fixtures in. So what I did was I donated those 72 fixtures to Harvey. I didn't charge them for it, right? I gave them the 72 fixtures, and I asked them, all they had to do, basically in terms of payment for those 72 fixtures, is pay the installer, which they did, right? And the installer and I, we both got off the job. Soon after that, the Cook County program folded, and Harvey was left back where they started, with the exception of 72 lights that was installed.
Okay. Before when you were here, I wanted to make sure, I remember you kept saying we gotta do it right now. I think I was hesitant. I think it was Trustee Nick and Phil with me. And yes, we both were running for mayor, and we both thought it was kind of political that we would come right now. This is beautiful. But you know, those days have passed us. What is the big change in the numbers compared to then to now? There is no mayoral race, the election is over with. What is it that you're trying to tell the board as far as savings? Because I want to say that I've seen a savings of 50 something. Now I see 74. So I want to make sure. I just went through my iPad.
What you referring to when you say 50?
You gave energy savings. I know that you were saying that it was something that we had to do because of the energy savings that the village would get back.
No, the hot button the last time you heard from me was because there was a bonus situation. ComEd was offering a bonus at that time, which would have increased your incentive. That's the reason the incentive now is at 92. I believe the last time I was here, the incentive was more like 119. But that's because of the bonus that ComEd was offering at that time, of course, that has passed.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to the iPad. I think Madam Clerk did send something. I was trying to compare the numbers. So you're saying now the difference is what?
Between the last time, I don't have the last report with me, but the basic differences is two things right now. It's the ComEd incentive is lower, right? The ComEd incentive now is $92,076. And the other thing, the other change since I was here last time is the monthly payment is raised to $31.54, and that's due to interest rates in general being the highest they've been in a long time.
Right, because if I'm not mistaken, wasn't it something a loan? I want to make sure my brain is.
It was interest rate or something like that.
Interest rates
It was
on the
interest rate.
loan that we needed to take out. We asked, what was the interest rate going to be? And he was supposed to get back with us and explain to us what the interest rate is. Because if we're doing a loan, he didn't tell us what the interest rate was, so we still want to know what would the interest rate be.
Yeah, what would be the interest rate, right? Thank you, Trustee, that was, you're right. What was the interest, yeah.
And we also asked the question, we have wooden poles here as well. Are you replacing the base and the wooden pole, or you just replacing the lights? That's another question we had asked.
Well, I'm sure I answered that one. We're not replacing any of your wooden poles. The only poles that we're replacing are your knockdowns. You got about 13 knockdowns in the village from the last time we did our count. So the only poles we're going to be changing are the knockdowns. 3 decoratives that you had that were knocked down, and I believe 10 in the industrial parkway that was knocked down.
Is that in here?
Yes.
And what was the interest rate?
The interest rate now, I don't know, I can only guesstimate. Now remember, I don't do your financing. I bring a document here, and this document, like I told you at the beginning of my presentation, it is not an official loan application. This is me giving you an example of what can be done. So what I do in terms of my program is I procure a company basically that has agreed to finance the village.
That was the other question. Who is the financier?
In this situation, in this situation, it's First Government Lease.
It's who?
First Government Lease. First Government Lease. And now what happens is this, is I'm not involved in the financing. Your village would be talking directly to the lease company and working that deal. I'm not in the middle of that.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know about the number of payments in the years.
That's all to be negotiated between you and the company.
Just kind of guesstimate, this is the max that they're going to do 7 years ago.
Yes, this is me giving you an example on how the whole thing comes together. None of
Now,
these.
Ms. He didn't do this though, right? I see Ms. Beck name down here with the mayor, and that was July 15th. She was gone. I think so. She was gone by the 15th, right? Yeah. Right. So her name shouldn't be nowhere on her.
No,
But this
is just an example.
Yeah, this is just an example.
She didn't want financial money. Amazing.
I got a question. We have solar panels. We have a solar panel on our home, so we don't pay ComEd anything, maybe like $10 a month or something like that. Is this anything dealing with like solar panels?
No. Solar panels, the reason you only pay $10 is because solar panels, of course, you're actually building up energy that ComEd uses. That's the point of solar. LED doesn't work like that. LED strictly is a lighting source that uses less energy.
So we would be, like my colleague, Trustee Lewis was saying, we would need to get some numbers about loans. I think all of that.
Because I think the last time the payment was like
21.
Yes.
It was in that range. If we was to do a loan, but we didn't have percentage of the loan and how many years the loan, all that wasn't factored in.
Right.
And then how much actual usage of our bills is, right?
Yeah.
What are we actually paying for these lights right now?
So what I'm hearing now is that the board really would like to have the real hard numbers, the actual interest rates, everything more comparable. I think everyone knows that we need lights in our community, but we want to ensure that we're doing the best thing as financially as far as making sure that our interest rate, we don't want to arm where the interest rate continuously fluctuates up and down. So
The next steps,
Mr. Jones, could you not say that it would be our responsibility to get financing?
what I do is bring you a company that has looked at the village and agrees to do it. If you want to go through your own bank, that's great, but what happens is, the next step from this meeting for you guys should be, call the finance company and put your deal together. Because
That's for the 269.
yes, for that 269, right? Now, actually, it's not 269, it's 269, but really what you're going to be borrowing is 177 because you get the comment rebate. But the next step would be to call the finance company and get your hard numbers. See, because I can't get hard numbers for the village because I don't have any authorization or village financials. So the next step in this process for your review would be to call the finance company, and I'm going to give you a contact person, and get the hard numbers so you can look and see exactly what those look like.
Can we hear from Mr. Sevier, please?
just 1 second, Mr. Moore, I want to listen. Any other questions from the board?
Is it okay if we get a reference, or when you said, which sound you looked at? I heard it.
Council Club, Richmond Park.
I can provide you a list of references. I think I sent them in already, but I can do that again.
Okay. Yeah. I just wanted to take a look at it, and then I guess we go from there, but hard numbers.
Hard number would be easy for us to do. Anybody else on the board, if not, Mr. Sevier, you have a question?
Don't you?
Anyway, we just need the LED lights, no poles, right? No poles.
No, the only poles we're replacing is the knock downs. Knock downs, poles that have been knocked down.
The one that knocked down?
Yes.
We're not giving any direction, so, day tomorrow,
No.
that's strictly the lights, right?
Yes.
Okay, and y'all do the financing, you have to do the financing for the whole 269, and you have to wait on the rebate from county. So, you're doing the financing, make sure you finance for the whole amount, and when the rebate comes back, take that check and pay down the finance. Because, other than that, you'll be carrying out that loan for a sustained period of time. In terms of their work, I can attest to that. Their work was pretty good. They did a good job for us in Richmond Park back then. But we had to deal with poles and all that. We had some issues with that and not the lights. The numbers that he did share with us, they were pretty factual. They were pretty much on target. So I can be honest with you with that. And we did use the savings from those lights to help pay down the loan, even though it was higher because of the decorative poles. But there's one shed information that I saw on YouTube. I can start out from reading that too. That's it.
That it? Yeah. All right. Thank you, Mr. Downs. You're going to give the information to the board about the finance company. We got some follow-up to do. Just want to the board's going to follow up with your references, and our manager Scott will take direction from the board. They'll reach out to you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Downs. Thanks for your patience being the last, next to last.
No problem. Thank you.
All right.
No problem with that. Exactly.
If the mayor can repeat what he said so we can hear.
We're talking about the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund, as the manager will be the administrator over there. As an authorized agent for IMRF, ensuring that things are going in their proper place. We have to have one. It's mandatory. And there's a void right there. If the customary village manager or any municipality village manager that's pretty much the long and short.
So,
Okay.
unless you want to do
Louis?
another discussion, I'll move to adjourn.
Is there a second? All in favor? Opposed? Good meeting, guys. Good meeting.